Okay, Tenet 6, business practices. Again, Tenet is very vague. It just says, interpreters maintain ethical business practices. Okay. It does say professional interpreters are entitled to a living wage based on their qualifications and expertise. Totally agree with that. It also says interpreters are entitled to working conditions conducive to effective service delivery. And so we're going to talk about some of that throughout this. First of all, it's important for you guys to know that in the city of Houston, interpreters within the past, I would say 10 years or so, have done something amazing that's going to help you guys in the future if you become interpreters in this area, which is they did a rate increase. When I started interpreting, I was probably making about $9 an hour, if that, sometimes less. And now, interpreters, if you get the basic level of certification in Houston, and that's really what you seek to attain, it's not just about getting your degree, it's about getting certified, either by the state or the national association, okay? Once you get your basic level of certification, you probably start out in the city of Houston making about $31 or $32 an hour, which is just phenomenal compared to what we had been making. And it's not like I'm from the Stone Ages, so, it wasn't that long ago that we weren't making that much. So just be appreciative of what your predecessors have done for you. Be aware of the work that's gone into that as far as the rate increase went just in these past few years. You are entitled to a living wage, and really interpreters do fairly well. It does depend upon your level of certification. You can get more than that. Obviously, that's just the base level of pay. And that's an hourly rate. You may get salary. There are other things to consider, other factors, whether you're getting insurance and those types of things. But if you're a full-time employee, part-time, contract, those kinds of things. But you are entitled to that, and so be proud of that. It also depends upon, some other types of demands. For example, if you're a trilingual interpreter, and when we say trilingual, I recognize that some of you speak other languages, perhaps German or French or other things, but usually when we refer to trilingual interpreters in the state of Texas, we're referring to someone who speaks spoken Spanish, ASL, and spoken English, okay? Some of those interpreters are even quadlingual and maybe also know Mexican Sign Language. And recognize, again, it's not Spanish Sign Language, it's Mexican Sign Language. Each country, for the most part, has their own signed language. So anyway, usually when we're saying trilingual, that's what we're referring to. And so, dependent upon your different qualifications, you may be able to make a higher wage than other interpreters. If you have court certification, if you have other specializations, pretty soon here they're going to be coming out with a medical certification, most likely at least, and so henceforth you might be able to make more as a medical interpreter. So those are just some things to know about business practices. 6.1 says, accurately represent qualifications such as certification, educational background, and experience, and provide documentation when requested. I always have my certification cards on me. In fact, if you are to do court interpreting, you have to be court certified, first of all, in the state of Texas. Very important. You actually have some very, very serious legal ramifications if you interpret in a court and you don't have court certification. And not just court, but anything that's admissible to court. So, henceforth, I would never Mirandize someone or read them their Miranda rights, because that's admissible to court. And you know what? If I did, and that got brought to a court, the case could be thrown out based on the fact that I'm not a court-certified interpreter. I don't want to be any part of that. And so, henceforth, I wouldn't do that. So it's important that you accurately represent your qualifications. If you do court interpreting, very often during the voir dire process, or if you interpret here in Texas, they call it voir dire, just a French word, where you're presenting your qualifications and such to the judge, it's important that you would have like a portfolio of sorts to show all of the documentation of your experience, of your certifications, those types of things to present to the court. But even still, even on just a general assignment, I always have my qualifications with me. I have never once had to present them to anyone. Aside from maybe an agency saying, hey, we need you guys to send in your certifications in case we ever get questioned on this. But have I ever been questioned as far as actually having to pull out my certification card and show it to someone? No, but I still have it with me. There was one time where I interpreted a wedding, and it was for people from a different state, and at the end of the wedding, some of the deaf people came up to me and they were like, "You did such a good job. Oh my gosh, we're going to be having a wedding in our state next month, and we're just so excited, and we would love for you to come to be the interpreter because you did such a good job. Wait, are you nationally certified?" And I just thought it was the funniest thing, because I'm like, you've already seen my work. You've already said that you want me to come and that you like me as your interpreter. What does it matter if I'm certified or not? I am, you know, I didn't say all of that. I just said, yes, I am nationally certified. But I just thought it was funny. It was like, what does a piece of paper mean after that? But I didn't have to show it to them. They just took my word for it. So just make sure that you're accurately representing yourself. And also know that that can be looked up. I can look up on either the state or the national website and find out if you're telling me the truth or not. So, yeah, don't be a poser. 6.2 says, honor professional commitments and terminate assignments only when fair and justifiable grounds exist. I will tell you that because you found out that your friends are going to a concert is not a fair and justifiable reason. Because a cooler assignment popped up, or one that has more hours that you could get paid more money for, does not justify you terminating that assignment. You really have to keep that in check. And that's even true of you even when you become an intern. You need to keep your professional commitments, because these coordinators are working very hard and usually not getting paid any extra to be placing you as an intern into assignments. And so you need to make sure and stick with whatever it is that they've given you, even if something else cooler comes up later. Because eventually you'll get to do something cool. Don't worry about it. Okay? 6.3 says, promote conditions that are conducive to effective communication, inform the parties involved if such conditions do not exist, and seek appropriate remedies. You know, make sure that you are doing everything you can, like if the lighting isn't good, again, if the background isn't good, all of these types of things. Make sure you're doing everything you can to make sure that your interpreting situation is conducive to effective service delivery. However, if you're in a medical situation, for example, or a lab, or any place else where you are required to put on PPE or personal protective equipment, and that could be a construction site, it could be any place, you need to put on that PPE. I don't care that the deaf person can't see your face with a mask on. I don't care that they can't see your hands as well with the gloves on. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. You put on whatever they tell you to put on. Because really, in essence, you are protecting yourself. You're protecting the other people around you. I used to be an EMT, and they talked about scene safety. You know, and they talked about the fact that if you're not safe, then you're not helping anybody. And the same thing is true as an interpreter. If you're not keeping yourself safe, you're not going to be able to interpret very long to help other people or to interpret for other people, right? And so, usually, like if I'm going to a patient's room or something, if they ask me to put a mask on, half the time it's not even just for my safety, it's for their safety, to ensure that I'm not giving them any kind of disease. And so I know that it makes it not conducive to an interpreting assignment, but you still have to do what you have to do to make sure that you're safe, that the people around you are safe, because that's ultimately what it's about. We're going to continue on with other business practices in the next video. Okay, thanks.